Welcome to step 3. Here we'll be looking at how do I, the teacher, decide on the criteria and the descriptors of the rubric. Let's look back at the website for a moment. And we already know now that we define the goals, we choose the type of rubric we think will be most effective, both for the teacher and the students, the learners. Now, we need to determine the criteria. This is where the learning objectives for your unit or course come into play. So, the learning aims of the module, the class. Here, you'll need to brainstorm a list of knowledge and skills you would like to assess for the project. Now, generally, if you're teaching in an organized system, you'll be given a curriculum, and the administration or other teachers, the department, will tell you what the list of objectives is. What are students supposed to learn by the end of the course? What are the aims? Well, in the rubric, these should be grouped according to similarities, and you should try to get rid of anything that's not absolutely critical. A rubric with too much criteria is difficult to use, and to be honest, students don't tend to read it all. If there's too much text, they're not going to actually read the rubric. And it's important to keep in mind that the rubric and the criteria, the performance levels, all of this is something that students are supposed to be using. The rubric is for the students, the learners. So try to keep it user-friendly. Stick with 4 to 7 specific subjects for which you'll be able to create unambiguous, measurable expectations in the performance levels. You'll want to be able to spot the criteria quickly while grading and be able to explain them quickly when instructing your students. And in an analytic rubric, the criteria are typically listed along the left column. As we saw here, these are the criteria, right? Where do these come from? These are the learning aims of the course. Aha. So, for example, if we again look at this rubric for the argumentative speaking academic argumentation course, well, where did the criteria come from? Here's the module guide for the course. And these were the learning aims. By the end of this course, the student, you, will be able to logically outline your argumentative stance. You'll be able to orally present and write an argument in C1 level English, be able to assess the reliability of sources, and be able to evaluate and apply a variety of opinions in objectively defending your viewpoint. So these were the learning aims for the whole semester. And you see those learning aims reflected here. So for example, outlining the argumentative stance, where is that assessed? Organization. Orally present or write an argument in C1 level English, where is that assessed? Here. Assess the reliability of sources. Well, in the evidence part, credible evidence is assessed here. Evaluate and apply a variety of opinions is assessed here in open-mindedness. Now, we added a few extra criterion to the rubric because during class, we spent a lot of time looking at thesis statements and teaching our students what clear, debatable thesis statements are. So we thought this is something that should be assessed because we did a lot of teaching on it. And again, here we learned from experience, we didn't want students just reading from a script because again, they were meant to be able to speak the language clearly, naturally, and deliver a compelling and authentic video recorded argumentation. So we added these two as well. But in essence, the criteria come from the learning aims of the whole course, long term. Okay. In a moment, well, we could also look at this point at the rubric for the argumentative essay itself, the written rubric. What do we see assessed here? Thesis, argumentation, right? That was one of our learning aims. Opposing viewpoints, that in the essay they included counter arguments and rebuttals, so that was seen here. A variety of opinions. In-text source integration, APA format, that was, something we spent time on. And it also deals with the evidence and reliability of sources that we saw in the learning aims. Academic tone, we wanted to assess that because it was something we spent time on in class. We spent time looking at how to organize an essay, so we're assessing that. And of course, written language was also something we were assessing because it was something we paid attention to in class, and it's also one of the learning aims of the goal. This is what's called constructive alignment, right? That what you aim to do in your course is then taught in the classes and then actually assessed in the assessment. All right, we'll move on to the final stage in a minute, in which we look at the descriptors. How do we actually determine like the mathematics involved when people pass, fail, get a certain mark? And how do we determine the descriptors? Thanks for watching.